Well, I hope. Was the video acting up for you guys just now? Is all skipping like crazy for that 1 minute?
No.
Oh, good. So I'm glad it's only me then, because I was watching that little intro music countdown and it kept freezing up, and I thought it was just crazy. I'm like, oh, great, I'm gonna have to re-upload this and edit it all out and all the rest.
No.
Anyway, welcome guys. Thanks for joining us for the Rescue Michigan stream tonight. No cold open this week. Not a lot of show prep tonight. Honestly, I've been super busy this week. How about you guys?
Yeah, busy week and full day today, and then I'm in a different place right now because where I usually sit is a complete disaster. But it was interesting going through, like, I saved every piece of lit from 22 and 24, and I'm trying to organize it all just to keep examples, and it's just crazy looking back and everything.
Yeah, it's been a wild couple of years, and we're in the vertical format because you're on your phone, so that way
it's my fault, guys. I also have an issue with my laptop is restarting for the second time, and it's only at 27%. So
some people might prefer it this way because there's less black space on the page. I mean, our faces are bigger, but I don't know. I kind of like the layout, the portrait version normally, or the landscape. I mean, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've got. Well, I was going to say the big story this week. We'll talk about these Democrat bills, but first, though, 8 days till the inauguration. Can't wait.
Can't wait. It's been, doesn't it? Like 2016 was kind of this: what's going to happen? What's the next thing going to be? And I think this is more like Christmas Day. Like as like a 15-year-old, like I have a really good idea what the Christmas gifts are going to be, and I cannot wait to open.
Yeah, I feel like just in the past week, things have gotten a lot more. I mean, I feel like I'm a lot more hopeful than I was even just a week ago. Like all the things that we're hearing coming from Trump is like, yeah, he's holding back because he's not yet been sworn in. But the moment he's going to stick it to a lot of people. And I don't know. Some people are freaking out about the Greenland and Canada talk, but I love it. And all the things that those have in common is they're not Eurocentric wars of aggression with global powers. It's like, yeah, we're going to screw over Canada and get back to the Monroe Doctrine and spheres of influence. I like it.
Well, I mean, look, the Danes don't want to defend. They can't defend Greenland. We could.
There was a poll that said like 2-1 Greenland's ready to break free from Denmark. So that's awesome.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah. But
Trudeau we shall see. Governor, so. Gotta get a place for him.
Yeah. So it's going to be exciting, and we are all going to the inauguration, so that's going to be exciting too. It's going to be, I don't know, it's not usually my cup of tea, but I was able to get a ticket, and it's like, okay, let's see it. It'll be exciting to see a part of history,
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited.
So it'll be
once in a lifetime thing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, also
we earned it, right? We worked hard this year, so why not?
Worked our tails off. Speaking of once in a lifetime, when you have your fingers crossed that somehow the politicians can just drop the ball completely and just screw something up, and it never happens. But there is this crazy story, and we're going to look at this in some detail, that apparently the Democrats, after they already completely blew their entire lame duck session, as we talked about at length before the new year. And hundreds of bills they were planning to pass didn't even get passed. But there was this last day of session in the state Senate when they did ram through, I don't know, about 100 bills or so. And somehow those never quite made it to the governor's desk. So we have Matt on here as an attorney to give his opinion about some of these things, but I've got a little bit of information from Lansing. We've got a little bit of what to talk about at face value, but also the things I'm hearing in the news don't quite add up, and I'll show you guys why. So let's start with this. This is an article which is, I'd say, about as good as any. I mean, there's been several articles in the news about this. This is from The Bridge, Michigan, which is a left-wing publication. Michigan Democrats' pension retirement bills in limbo amid GOP legal review. Well, that headline is very misleading because that's not the reason why they're in limbo.
Right.
Let's see what they say here. According to the article, House Democrats did not send all the bills passed last session to Governor Gretchen Whitmer before Republicans took control of the chamber. New Speaker Matt Hall says he wants a legal review of the situation before deciding whether to send the bills to Whitmer. It says end the bills. I'm pretty sure it means send the bills. It's unclear what held up Democrats from sending legislation to the governor. So here is what they think. And you know, these are a little bit more in depth than the stuff you get from the Detroit Free Press. It's a little more hacky, wonky than those papers are. But here's a strange thing. It starts off by saying 9 bills passed by Democrats last month in the final days of their state house majority are in limbo after Republican leadership ordered a legal review rather than send them to Governor Gretchen Whitmer for her signature. We'll see about that, because I count closer to 100 bills than 9 bills. But if there's something I'm missing, I hope it's not because these, let's say 90 bills, I'm going to allege were not sent to the governor on time. Maybe somehow were sent by Matt Hall. We'll see. I'll show you what I'm looking at in a moment, folks. But let's get through this article first. This is the official story. The bills. Okay, I don't care about the bills. Gongwer News. Oh, here we go. Reported earlier this week there were 98 bills that passed the House and Senate, but for unknown reasons had not yet been sent to Gretchen Whitmer while Democrats were still in charge. New House Speaker Matt Hall, who officially became Speaker on Wednesday, hit pause on 9 of those bills. Really? What about the other 89? Did Matt Hall pass all of those? We'll look at what those are in a moment here. And yeah. Ron Fox says it's definitely not a slow news week. I know, Ron, and unfortunately, I was so busy with things that we don't have much of a show except for this topic. But maybe during the week we'll cover some more of those other topics. But we'll see. Matt Hall of Richland Township told reporters that House clerks had been working Wednesday morning to send the previously passed bills to Whitmer. But once the new legislature convened, he told them to hold off. Can a new legislature even present what an old legislature did? You know, I don't have answers to all this stuff, Hall told reporters. I don't like to rush. I stopped. I said, we need a legal review. Okay. If Matt Hall sent 89 bills to Gretchen Whitmer, then he is now, everything I said about lame duck in praise of Matt Hall is taken back, and he needs to be removed from office immediately.
Yeah,
because holy mackerel.
It doesn't read that way, though, because what it says is House clerks had been working Wednesday morning. Remember, he wasn't sworn in until Wednesday at noon.
He wasn't sworn in until January 8th?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
That seems a bit late. Why not January?
Second Wednesday.
Correct.
I mean, I remember when Representative Riley was first elected, he was sworn in before the new year. Like the actual swearing in does not take place in the chamber; it takes place in the clerk's office.
No, he is sworn in as Speaker of the House. So the first thing that happens is they convene at noon, as Patty said. First Wednesday. It would be the first Wednesday, but the Wednesday is a first. So it's the 8th.
So it's the 8th.
It's the 8th. So he is sworn in. I got to go back and look through. I believe it's at noon. So what that reads to me is the clerks were kind of sending bills on. And Matt Hall takes over and says, stop. You don't work for them anymore.
Yeah, well, see, I will show you an example bill here. This is one bill of several. This is House Bill 4924 of 2023. And here's what happened with this bill. The bill was passed in the House last March. Then it was passed by the Senate on October 8th. But they made some changes to it, so it was returned to the House. The House passed the bill on December 10th, and somehow it never got sent to the governor. On December 10th, it says bill ordered and rolled, and then this appears. December 31st, presented to the governor on January 8th, 2025 at 2:30 p.m. That's a weird thing to be in the Journal on December 31st, that this was presented to the governor in the future. There's kind of a time travel problem there.
Yeah, because that's House Journal 90. So that's the 90th journal of that House session. So Correct. That was maybe they, which would be hilarious.
But actually, here's the funny thing, Matt. That journal actually does not exist. This is House Journal 89. See that? Number 89. Journal of the House of Representatives. And what's the date on that journal? December 31st
at 1:30.
1:30 p.m. And what do we have here? Messages from the Senate. And here's all these bills. House Bill 4095. The bill was referred to the clerk for enrollment in printing and presentation to the governor on December 23rd, 2024. That was the last day of the Senate session, remember?
Right.
December 23rd. So the bill was sent to the clerk for presentation to the governor, and that's all that this says. Now, remember also, a quorum was not present because nobody showed up that day.
Right.
So they never actually even adjourned sine die at the end of the 31st. They just kind of happened when the clock ended because there was no one there. Here's how and look, you see there's literally almost 100 of these bills. House Bill 5956, and again, same thing, sent to the clerk for enrollment, printing, and presentation to the governor. And after all these, you've message from the governor, and then at the very end, there being a lack of quorum, the Speaker Pro Tem, that'd be the clerk at this case, Rich Brown, declared the House adjourned without day. That means sine die. Well, sine die means without day at 1:50 p.m. Emily wants to know, do we know which bills did not go forward? Let's look at them. Let's look at them, Emily. Yes, we do. I have quite a listing here. And it's a lot more than 9 bills, by the way. So let me pull them up here. Let's see here. Share screen. And can I share a window? Yes, I can. All right. This is my spreadsheet. Bills never sent to governor. And you will see, for almost all of these bills, there is that same exact thing. At the very last day, December 31st, 2024, it says, presented to governor at some certain time on January 8th. And here I've now copied and pasted what the Rescue Michigan versions of them were. Now, I have to apologize, guys. Operation Watchdog is kind of on the fritz right now because when I wrote the code, it was not meant for handling multiple sessions. So a few of these lawmakers, are actually wrong because, like, okay, Tanya Phillips is a freshman. It was not her. It was, I think, Helena Scott was the owner of that bill. So there's a few mistakes here and there. Apologies, especially for the Republicans that replaced Jim Hodsma and who was that other guy? There was Jim Hodsma and one other Democrat lost his seat, and so their names show up on these bills, but it's not them. But anyway, never mind that. I'll get Operation Watchdog sorted out soon. Everything's gonna be looking good again. But in the meantime, all of these bills, and we'll look at some of them just so you can see in the journal and on the legislature's website, this is what they all say. Almost all of them say this. 1231 presented to the governor at some time on January 8th. A few of them say this, and I'll show you these so you guys can see. But a few of them say this. Just says bill ordered and enrolled on December 23rd, and that's it. Which I have to assume means they were never sent to the governor and are now long past dead. Maybe these are the 9 bills that the article is talking about. So there's 4900, 4901. There's these 4 here. 6058, 4667, 666, appropriately, and 665. Oh, no, there's 3 more here. Bill ordered enrolled on the 23rd of 2024. I guess that is 9 bills. Maybe those are the 9 they're talking about. But then there's also, the total here is 91 bills. A few of these I caught actually say presented to the governor on January 7th for some reason. How does that work? And these are all, and we'll go back and look at these. But first, because Emily asked what these bills are. Some of these are minor bills, but some of them are major. So I'm going to scroll through this slowly. I'm not going to read every single one of these word for word, but some of these are significant. So you've got this huge corporate welfare subsidy deal, the Michigan Innovation Fund, it's called. You've got some election-related bills. These are Democrats' election bills. They worked on these bills, guys. You have the hotels bill to increase convention fees. Believe it or not, they actually like those because it hurts competition. You have bills to protect debtors against creditors. You have anti-gun bills. The bills that mandate that guns seized from criminals can't be sold, and the bills that say that guns bought in taxpayer-funded gun buy-ups have to be destroyed. They can't be sold for money. Those bills never got sent to the governor's office. Although, according to the journal of the journal that doesn't exist, the 90th journal, on page 0, it says they were sent to the governor on January 8th. You have some silly bills, create a school safety and mental health commission. I'm sure that will work. You have, let's see, you have Amos O'Neill's bill to punish companies that put call centers in foreign countries. You have thought crimes bills. You have the thought crimes bills, 5400, 5401. Democrats passed this over a lot of outcry, and yet they forgot to send it to the governor, apparently. Bills to increase the taxpayers' contribution to government employees' health plans.
That's a massive bill, and I can talk about that bill because my thing with schools. So right now in a school, they have something called a hard cap, which is to say the school district cannot spend more than X. Okay, there's 3 levels: single, husband or pair, and family. That's it. Okay, so teachers unions have gone in and they have this thing called MESA, which is it's union run healthcare, and it's gold plated. It's got all these crazy benefits, and it's very, very expensive. And they want it. And they would just go to these school districts and say, you got to pay for it. So, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, as much as many viewers don't like Rick Snyder. Rick Snyder did more for schools than any other past governors. Okay. So one of them was this. He said, no more. You're not going to do it. You may not spend more than the hard cap, allowing in the future for the legislature to say, well, I'll move hard cap up a little bit. So what do the Democrats do in this bill? They changed the cap to a floor. So every person who was getting health care, now it's gone, and they moved it up by 7%. And here's the kicker. Healthcare plans are calendar year. Your school budget is fiscal year. So all these people that had contracts that say, we'll pay up to the hard cap, now we're going to have a 7% increase in healthcare costs by snap of the finger, and there isn't anything we can do about it. What did the governor promise in connection with 6058? Money. Here's money to pay for it. What's not included? Money. So this one's a disaster. There are school districts all over. The MASB all said, no way, no way, no way. MASB being what it is now said,
the Michigan Association of School Boards.
Michigan Association of School Boards. We're okay with it as long as you give us money. So that one is hilarious because in my district, Petty, my districts, Matt Kolazar, Dana Polhanke, they're basically teachers union stooges. And they wanted this really badly so they could go back to their true constituency, which is their teachers union people, and say, we got you this extra healthcare money. But the problem is school districts didn't budget for it, and it's not there. So that's I think that was the most interesting one out of all.
Yeah. Anyway, not only that, but then look at these next ones. And by the way, again, apologies. Watchdog has to get fixed to accommodate the new term. Not Carl Bonak. He's a freshman. He replaced Democrat Jen Hill, who was the sponsor of this bill. The bill to bring back the broken pension system. Those bills. And again, we're going to look at these just so you guys can see exactly how these are recorded in the legislature's website. The bill to allow non-binary sexes on birth certificates didn't make it. Again, not Tanya Phillips, I think Helena Scott. Allowing changing name without fingerprinting. Wonder why that wouldn't be an issue. Bills to give state IDs and driver licenses to parolees before they get out. That bill just got dropped. Bills punishing charter schools. A bill to create a criminal justice policy commission to tell lawmakers why letting criminals out is a good thing. The History Museum Taxing Power Authority. The bill to eliminate the work requirement for Medicaid, one of the few surviving aspects of Snyder's administration. Some more election-related bills. And this goes on, guys. I'm gonna scroll slowly through these. So you can always pause the video later to look at these. Oh, this is the bill that Senator Lindsay was talking about on our stream the other day. The bill to mandate school districts tell students that they should snitch on their parents for having their guns not secured properly. Poor guy, whoever this was, I forget who it was. Some guy was supposed to have a road named after him. That didn't happen. Again, apologies to Matt Longjohn. He's a freshman. I think he replaced Jim Hodzima or one of them. It's not his bill. It's a Democrat's bill. More bills attacking charter schools. Again, Ron Robinson, another freshman. That was not him. It was some Democrat. And yeah, guys. Oh, huge special interest deal for data center. Uh-oh. What you do about that now, guys? So this is the 91 bills by my count that are very, very suspiciously listed in the state's website. So let me pull that up now. We can go back to this format now because Patty's in wide format.
Yeah, finally.
Let me show you what these bills look like on the legislature's website. Let me go over here. Let's see, stop screen and share screen. And what I'll do is you go to legislature, you go to bills. And now that there is a new term, you have to actually tell it that we're looking at the, come on, website, there we go, 2023 term, the 2024. And we'll put in a bill number. Let's pick the thought crimes bill. We'll go 5400.
Which is your least favorite?
And here's the bill here. I don't know. There's a lot of turkeys in that pile.
Good Noah Arbit bill. I mean, that's perfect.
Yeah, Noah Arbit. So now, as we've seen in those other ones, here it is again. Bill passed in the House on November 13th. The lame duck period. Wouldn't want to see that before the election. Wouldn't want voters to know what you're up to. Then it got sent over to the Senate. Rules suspended. Placed an immediate passage. The last day of the Senate. I think it was the day before the last. No, it was the last day. Roll call 698. All Democrats and 0 Republicans voted for it. Sent back to the House on December 20th. December 31st. House Journal 89, page 0. Returned from Senate without amendment with full title. Full title agreed to. Bill ordered enrolled 8 days ago in House Journal 89. There's a link to that one, interestingly. And then in House Journal 90, page 0, presented to governor on January 8th, 1:18 p.m. Let's see what House Journal 90 says about this. Journals. Where's the journals link? There's the journals link. And let's go to, I don't think we need to. It's right here. Oh, look at that. There is no Journal 90. There's Journal 89, and then it goes to Journal 1.
Uh-oh.
Whoopsies.
It's almost like someone's trying to perpetrate a fraud, isn't it? That there's a reference to this Journal 90 that does not exist. And they're just saying that on December 31st, they announced that on January 8th at 2 o'clock some p.m., we're presenting all these bills to the governor. And she's got 2 more weeks to sign them, right? Doesn't she? Because I think some people might want to, now, I don't know, Matt, you have to tell you because you're the expert. Partisan Supreme Court, all Democrats pretty much.
Well, okay, so there's a couple issues that would happen in connection with this bill, and I put in the chat, if you want to share it, it's the provision of the Michigan Constitution that's at issue. Okay. Yeah. And this is for people scoring at home. This is Article 4, Section 33 of the Michigan Constitution. And if you got it there, I'm
working on it. Give me 1 second here.
Okay. It's pretty simple.
Let's see here. Stop screen and share again. Here it is. Bills passed, approval by governor or veto. Reconsider.
So here's what it says. Every bill passed by the legislature shall be presented to the governor before it becomes law. That's the operative portion. Just that first say ending in the word law. Every bill passed by the legislature shall be presented to the governor before it becomes law. And
to be clear here, let's parse this very carefully. It's not saying the legislature is ordered to present a bill to the governor. It's saying a bill cannot become a law until it is presented to the governor.
Okay, and that was exactly where I was going. And we through the law, we do this through analogies and by using a simple sentence. And what does it mean to you? So I'm the father of 2. So I would say, you shall put your boots on before you go outside. Okay? You shall put your boots on before you go outside. And interestingly, There's a lot of litigation over the meaning of the word shall, whether it means shall or must. And in this particular construction, it doesn't matter. You must put your boots on before you go outside. Okay? What does that not mean? Well, it doesn't mean two things. It does not mean you must put your boots on, and it does not mean you must go outside. What it says is, it's an if-then. Just as you thought, Adam, if you, the proper construction is if you want to go outside, then you must put your boots on or shall put your boots on. So every bill passed by the legislature shall be presented to the governor before it becomes law. Okay. Does that mean it must be presented? No. Now, there might be another rule elsewhere that says upon receipt, the clerk must blah, 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 blah. But I don't think it works that way. And what happened at noon, I believe, on January 8th? The clerk got a new boss. And the clerk doesn't take direction from the governor. And the clerk doesn't take direction, and this is interesting because this is repeated by a couple of constitutional people that were in the articles we talked about, including one that was counsel for Granholm. They don't take direction from the previous legislature either.
No.
So if there's a pile of, I'm reaching my desk drawer, and there's a pile of legislation here, and they didn't send it along. Oh, thank you, Jamie. Yes, Saturday, it's January 8th at noon. Yes, so I had that right. There's a lot to be said about that's too late. It's too late because most people, maybe people don't know this, and they follow you. They probably do. When you switch legislatures, everything that was in the hopper all throughout any process is now dead. Okay.
Right.
All the steps you have to go through, which is referral to committee, favorable, the committee sends it to the House floor favorably. You wait a certain number of days. That was the suspension of the rules, so they don't have to wait the number of days to pass laws. They didn't have any time to do that. And then back and forth and back. All those things all die. So even if it's a law that everybody really wants, if you reach the end of that date, you must start the process over again.
Yeah.
So you have these bills, and they didn't get through the process. And
nope.
There's nothing in the law. And I looked.
They could have been sent to the governor on December 23rd, but they weren't.
They weren't.
Oops.
Even by their own admission, they weren't.
Yeah.
And some of them, they put dates that were afternoon, and that's not right either because they didn't. Yeah. They weren't working.
And by the way, speaking of that, I did because I remember thinking because it was interesting that those bills were, according to this House Journal 90 that does not exist, sent to the governor in the middle of the afternoon. I remember seeing some that were in the morning, and that's also true. This is House Bill 4095, another one of these bills that was never submitted to the governor. That in the non-existent House Journal 90 is listed as on December 31st, saying presented to the governor at 11:22 a.m. Which I have some questions about this. First off, where do these times come from? Because I have, by my count, about 90 bills where they seem to have arbitrarily put in all these fictitious times that these bills were presented to the governor.
This is forgery. From I Love Lucy? Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Lucy, you got some splaining to do because, boy, that's what it looks like. It looks like someone just put this time in there.
Yeah, I'll just put down non-existent House Journal 90, page 0. This bill is presented to the governor at 11:22 a.m., 1:30 p.m. What's the difference on January 8th?
Yeah, there's a big difference. There's a big difference. And now what's interesting is that I'm not sure anybody has the right to object to the lack of a bill. I think that somebody impacted by the bill, improperly sent on, could say this bill wasn't constitutionally approved because the House didn't send it to the governor before the end of the House's term, and therefore this is a requirement, and that didn't happen. I think somebody could make that argument. The flip, I think, is impossible. Someone to come in and say, hey, I was supposed to get this benefit of this law, but it didn't pass, and it should have.
Yeah.
there's a standing issue there, and I don't think I'd have to dig more deeply into it.
But the issue is like, okay, say gun owners file suit because of the anti-gun bills, but then what about? I mean, it seems to me if a court says that any one of these bills was illegally passed, that's going to immediately have to apply to all of them, would it not?
Well, right. It would be a signal to all of them that, hey, it's the same process. None of them were legally passed. They all should be thrown out.
Yeah.
What it is for me, and Adam and Patty, I know you agree with this. What it is for me is that it's perfect in that it is an example of how incompetent they are. That this is the most basic thing to do, let alone the fact that a lot of this legislation is rife with errors. It's got all kinds of things wrong with it. References, the words are wrong. It does the wrong thing. And their whole playbook was, we'll pass it, and it's going to be so jacked that the Republicans will have to come in and fix it. And they did it so poorly, and they were so dysfunctional. I mean, think about it for a second. They had the House and the Senate and the governorship for 2 years. 2 years.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing because I would have thought, you know, well, they're lousy at governing, but they're good at getting their agenda through. Like I remember Jim Runstead saying a while back, he would say, mark my words, when the Democrats took power, mark my words, they will show us how to govern. And sure enough, with like a 1-seat majority, they crammed through radical bill after radical bill after radical bill. And then just now, everything fell apart. They couldn't hold their caucus together. Now they couldn't even get and at the end of the day, they couldn't even get the bills properly sent to their own government. I mean, you would have thought after all that, the last thing.
That wasn't really a they issue, though. That was a Tate
issue. It was a somebody issue. Right.
So, I mean, why didn't he send them?
Maybe Joe Tate, after he realized his plans to become Detroit mayor had fallen apart, just like, screw it. I don't know.
Like, that's the thing. Like, yeah, they had all their issues and Witsit and everything that was going on. However, at the end of the day, wasn't it his responsibility to send those along? It wasn't a group of people or a team.
Someone in Lansing told me that Republicans knew about this and chose not to act and knew about it before they took office. So you would think any one of these Democrats, I mean, a lot of these Democrats are complete bozos, but some of them are professional political operatives. Mm-hmm. Some of them have worked in Lansing as legislative staff that should know things. Like Will Snyder's been around Lansing for years. That new one that just got sworn in to replace Felicia Brabeck was her front desker. A lot of them are Lansing people. Emily Devendorf was a professional political operative for the LGBT people for a long time. So there are people in the caucus that should know procedure, and they spent a lot of time on a lot of these bills.
Right.
And after hundreds of bills got dropped, and now this was like the last pittance they got through, and they were supposed to do lots more. And they just lost all. I mean, look, and I brought this other bill up just because this is one of the outliers. Most of these all say passed and sent to the governor on January 8th somehow. This one here, again, look at this one. Senate Journal 0, page 0. And on December 19th, ordered and rolled after it passed the House on its last day. And then on December 31st, says on House Senate Journal 0, page 0, presented to the governor on January 7th at 10:58 a.m. What's the story with that one? By the way, for those coming in late, Heather, there's more than 9 bills. There's more like 90. More like 90. Unless there's something else fishy going on. But boy, if I was any member of the Republican Party, I'd be saying, no, all of these bills are
so
invalid.
Did any of them actually get sent?
I don't think so.
That's what I'm wondering. On the flip side, okay, we're talking about how many didn't, but
I mean, I'm relying on the Journal here, so it could be the Journal is somehow wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Adam. I mean, that's.
Let's go back here because the Journal is the official record. And this is the House Journal, the last actual House Journal on December 31st. And all it says on these things is the bill was referred to the clerk for enrollment, printing, and presentation to the governor. They were not in session. They did not have a quorum. And so there's all these bills, and they all say the same thing, sent to the clerk for enrollment, printing, and presentation. So there's, I think, well, hold on. Let's see. I just had it. 89 of them here, and there's probably a couple more. Plus, there's a few more I found that were from earlier. And that's it. Then there's some messages to the governor, messages from the governor, blah, 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 blah. A communication from the SOS was read, and it's about JCAR. Doesn't matter at all. And that's it. Being a lack of quorum, the Speaker pro tem declared the House adjourned. And that is the last journal of the State House in the previous term. Now, we can go to the first journal for the current term, but I guarantee you it's not going to say anything about these things. Let's see. House Journal 1. This was this past Wednesday. What does it say? Communications from state officers. Dear Clerk Brown. That's blah, blah, blah. Not relevant. This is also not important. This is from Jocelyn Benson. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole thing because guess what? It's a long document. But, I mean, people are welcome to look through it. This is all... So, see, they're moving on to the adoption of the leadership and the rules. That's all this is. This is the House rules. Can skip past all this. It's the House rules. All these things. And message from the Senate. The Senate's in business. Adopt the resolution on the calendar. Seating assignments. And we're done. That's it. So there is nothing in any of these journals, which are the official record, that says these bills were ever sent to the governor.
Well, here's the interesting question: was it the same clerk?
So this first journal here
says Scott Starr is the
who's
clerk
new,
of the
because
House.
it was Rich Brown until then.
Okay, well then you're going to have your answer to your question, because if that bill,
hold on, look at this. Hold on, this is interesting. Oh, this was sent to Clerk Brown on November 20th. Never mind. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt. I didn't interrupt you.
So if the bill was sent to the governor by the previous clerk out of time, that's going to be invalid.
Here, look at this. Pursuant to the requirements of the Constitution, the representatives elect to the House of Representatives of the State of Michigan for the years 2025 and 26, assembled in Representative Hall, not Representative Matt Hall, Representative Hall in the Capitol at Lansing. That means the chamber. On the second Wednesday in January, the 8th of January at 12 o'clock noon, and in accordance with the law, were called to order by Richard J. Brown, aka Captain Hook, clerk of the preceding House. So apparently, Rich Brown, sorry for making fun of your amputation, Rich. We love your Captain Hook. He was an assistant clerk for years until Gary Randall retired in the previous term. And then he's the clerk. Clerk of the preceding House calls the session to order on January 8th. And then immediately, now there's a new clerk. Now, I have heard that Matt Hall knew the Democrats had made some boo-boos. And maybe that's the reason why there's this new clerk here today. Or on the 8th, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, if it's like, you know, a decision made by somebody after they had the authority to make that decision. It's just really simple, right? You didn't have the authority to do anything because you weren't in that position. It was like just no different than if I sent it to the governor. Here, governor, who the hell's that guy, right? So, you know, and people like to make fun of lawyers. And I remember vividly, we were in civil procedure class, and one of the students said to the professor, went on to be the dean of Syracuse, "Well, professor, isn't that just a technicality?" And he's this dorky, nerdy guy with glasses on. And he says, technicality? You're a lawyer. Everything's about technicalities. And this is a technicality. But it's no different than a balk in baseball or, you know, doing this and send the wrong guy to the plate. There are rules. Yeah. And if you follow the rules, then you're all set. If you don't, it's not a technicality. It's your inability to follow the rules.
Yeah. Technically correct is the best kind of correct.
Right. And there's no such thing as correct, but not technically. Yeah. When it comes to a law, because when you go to enforce that law against somebody, boy, they're going to make sure that all the technicalities are.
Yeah. By the way, here's what I think are one of the 9 bills that they're talking about. So here's a bill to allow museums to levy taxes. This is one of the few that's kind of an outlier in that list, which says this. It just says bill ordered enrolled on December 23rd. To me, it seems like these bills absolutely have to be dead because it doesn't even have a fake document. It doesn't even have a line saying it was in House Journal 90 on page 0 was submitted to the governor. It just says bill ordered enrolled. So that's 6 of these bills. But again, the bigger issue, and I'll show this again for the benefit of Heather and others, is that there's actually like 90 plus bills here that are still listed as on December 31st in the journal being presented to the governor last Wednesday when it was in the future for that date. And there's a ton of these bills, tons of them. By my count, so there's a few that we just looked at. Let's say this, bill ordered enrolled on December 23rd. There's a couple that say presented to the governor on January 7th. And those are both Senate bills that their last step was being passed in the last state of the House or the last days of the House. But the vast majority of these are these House bills that the Senate passed on their last day, that big, long overnight session. And all of them say the same thing. And there's tons of them. 91 total. So,
yeah, I mean, they require, Adam, you know this better than I do. I think that's right. So if the bill originates in the House, it's then approved by the Senate. I think it has to be sent back to the House by transmission, and then it has to be sent to the governor.
Yeah, I'll show you what they say because you can actually see it here. If you look at the bill histories, it'll say, let's see here, for example, why am I not finding the right tab here? Here's one. So yeah, here's a bill passed the Senate first as a Senate bill, and it passed the House without amendment, given immediate effect, returned to the Senate. And then it says full title agreed to, ordered enrolled, presented to governor. How is that possible? How is it that on December 31st in Senate Journal 0 was presented to the governor on January 7th?
Well, first of all, was the Senate in session on the 31st too?
No more than the House was. They never showed up.
Right. So and again, there may be rules about a clerk's ministerial duties, and that'll be argument. That's the argument you're going to hear. This is ministerial, right? It was ministerial, but it may be ministerial that it wasn't satisfied, right? If you get a ticket and the police officer fails to submit it to the court or the prosecutor, it's not going to come back against you because they haven't done the ministerial act that they do. Now sometimes they can do it, but in this case, what we're talking about is there's no people in charge, right? So now does the new person come in and do that? Well, Scott Starr is not going to do that. Scott Starr said, I don't work for you. I work for the speaker, and he's told me that we're going to take a legal review. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I agree with it.
So if anyone watching in Lansing has any particular insights, feel free to reach out to us. I'd love to hear what your guys' take on this is. But as I see it, the news is not reporting this correctly because it's not 9 bills. Well, that'd be bad enough as it is. But it looks like a lot of these bills were never sent to the governor at all or not sent with proper authority. Because as you said, Matt, you can't just deliver a bill to the governor. So,
right.
Who has the authority to deliver a bill to the governor on January 7th? Nobody.
I don't know. Exactly. I am not. And certainly the ones that said presented to the governor afternoon on the 8th. That's another category because that you certainly, because at that point there was a new clerk. If the old guy is walking down the hallway and says, I'm doing this, you've been relieved of duty, pal. So nothing you do is effective. Heather, to answer your question about, you can put that one up.
Because they're pathological liars and they exist to deceive the people.
That's one way to put it. I'll do the little more gracious way, Adam, is to say there's a narrative, okay? And the narrative that the media has run with for a long, many years is the benevolence and omnipotence of government, right? They're good at it, and they're here to help. And what this is flies right in the face of that. Now, you've seen it trickling out a little bit. Certainly nationally, you've seen it trickling out more than a little bit. That was one of the big things about, Biden is that they were incompetent in addition to being led by somebody who was, weekend at Bernie's. So, but this is these are local people, and they're still here. And the Winnie Brinks is the leader of the Senate, and she's just as much to blame, and she's still there as Joe Tate, who is not in charge any longer. So, that there's a symbiotic relationship, as we all know very well, between the media and the government. And one person scratches one person's back, and they scratch theirs. And people I know in the media would get very mad at me for saying that, but look, it's true. And you are very eager to show things as not being rank incompetence. I agree with you, Heather, that I don't know how you explain this without it being you were simply incompetent.
Yeah. And to Emily's point, it's just stunning. I've seen a couple articles where they quote Democrats saying, how dare Matt Hall block these bills that they all pass on a completely partisan basis. Look at this one on the screen, 56-53. Not a single Republican supported these bills. The Democrats passed them. They introduced them after the election. They passed them in the dead of night in the lame duck session. And they have the audacity to blame the Republicans for not bailing them out for their own failures. Unfreaking believable.
Well, and beyond that, so let's talk again about technicality. So let's talk about the technicalities that exist in the House and the Senate that were waived to get this garbage passed. Okay, you have a hearing, and at the hearing, both parties, minority and majority, are allowed to call witnesses, ask questions, and get information. We got rid of that. And I remember seeing Dana Polehanke scream at I think it was, I'm not sure who it was, another senator. We're not going to talk about this, completely germane to the bill, because they didn't have the time. There is the requirement for you have to suspend the rules to allow immediate presentation, because there's a period of time after which a bill is sent back, referred from a committee before it can be voted on. Hey, maybe I want to have everyone read the bill. I don't know. Nope, we'll suspend that too, and then we'll suspend any other rules. We'll cut off commentary. We'll cut off debate so we can get all this stuff. So cry me a river if you're worried that the Republicans are going to strictly adhere to rules, because you didn't strictly adhere to rules all the way through this process.
Yeah. Barry Altman asks, do you think that Hall has helped to hurt? Unless it somehow turns out that somehow these 80-some bills somehow made it to the governor's desk on January 8th, I'd say he helped immensely. It was a smart play. Yep. And he helped immensely in keeping his caucus together to not show up for lame duck. And that was spectacular. You talked about that in the lame duck stream.
I mean, he provided literal shelter for a member of the House. They had, it's a Speaker of the House. It's a sergeant at arms, is not really a police officer. But Matt Hall said, come to my office. They won't take you out of my office.
Oh, yeah. I spoke to a former member who said that back in his day, a call to the House was no joke. Like they would get you anywhere. There'd be an APB put out statewide to haul you into the chamber if you needed to. But I think maybe the only reason it didn't happen in this case is because the sergeants knew that Matt Hall was going to be their boss in a couple of weeks. But still,
it's basic how job security is a motivator.
Yeah. Heather says they didn't even put the bill numbers in the articles. You're right. I can't stand the media how they never do that. In fact, that's why I use the Bridge story, because Bridge often does. In this case, they didn't, interestingly. And I bet you a lot of these media sources just got this from people in Lansing and they didn't even know the bill numbers, I'll bet you. Because if they did, they'd be asking the same questions we're asking. What about these other 90-some or these other 80-some bills here that add up to 91? I've got a count of 91 bills that have this bizarre, senseless explanation on the legislature's official website, saying that these are in Senate journals that don't exist, House journals that don't exist, that have no record in the journals anywhere of being sent to the governor.
Hey, look, man, if it's not good enough if I send my tax bill in, I really don't, but I say I did. No, that doesn't work that way. They got to prove it. Prove that you sent these in on time or at all. Yeah. Jamie Thompson, great point. The Democrats messed up, and we're not going to fix their mistakes. And if the tables were the other way around, the Democrats would never have done this. Of course they wouldn't. So it's the shoe on the other foot test, and Democrats are being complete hypocrites, as always. She also says she's trying to get info on the other bills. So we'll see. I said it's going to be a short stream tonight, and I'm looking at my just random topics I've thrown together throughout the week, and it's a lot of world news and things like that are completely a different topic. And so, Jamie, if you find out more,
or anybody else in Lansing, feel free to let me know what the inside scoop is on these 90 bills that the story on this website makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, I get that in the transition from one term to another, often websites are outdated, but this is just bizarre. I mean, someone put 10:58 a.m. into this line, and that came from somewhere. Or out of somebody's ass. I'd like to know whose it was.
It seems to be very specific.
Sure does. Very, very suspicious. So there you go, guys. All right. I think that's going to do it for us for this week. I've been super slammed with things. I've got a new project to announce shortly once it's almost ready for a rollout. But besides that, inaugurations coming up. Operation Watchdog updates is like me coding all day long to get that going again. So it's been a hectic time. So the fun never stops, guys. But we'll try to get a stream in sometime during the week too. And then maybe one on Sunday. Next Sunday might be from Washington.
Lug your stuff out to Washington D.C. We can set it up in.
Oh gosh.
Well, I've got some portable stuff.
We tried that at Suburban. That didn't go so well at the.
What?
At Suburban at the.
Well, that's because we brought my entire PC. That was not a portable setup at all. Then it turned out it was extremely noisy in the.
Yeah, that was tough, but we tried.
But no, I've got some wireless little mics, and I'll try to make something work. So we'll see what happens, but it should be fun. So we'll have to firm up plans for the inauguration trip during the week, and we'll let you guys know. So, all right, guys, I think that's gonna do it for us. Patty, Matt, you guys, anything you guys want to promote before we call it a stream?
Not really. Just county conventions are coming up on January 30th. So make sure to do what you need to do for that. What you're called.
Oh yeah, we still haven't done a stream talking about the candidates for the state chair. We'll have to do that one of these days. All right, guys, I think that's gonna be it for tonight. Matt and Patty, as always, thank you guys for joining me, and everyone tuning in. As always, guys, thanks for everything you do for liberty, and until next time, peace.